Okay, hello everybody. So I'm here again with Alyssa White.
Hi.
Yeah, so it's already February of
I know.
2021.
January felt like forever, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of, I it's just like we're kind of getting away from 2020 and it's like, is it over yet,
It's 2020.2.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like it never ends. But 2020 has been a long year. uh But yeah, so basically, we're gonna do a list of our top 10 films
Hmm.
of 2020, and it was a most interesting year for sure.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and 2020, like when I think about it, it's like basically the year of the stuff that we kind of wanted to get got delayed, right?
Yeah, and it was really the year where indies shown, foreign films really took prominence. Just stuff that most people would have watched later on after the major blockbusters has come out, they put a priority over. And with my list, that's definitely the case. You're going to see me mention movies that maybe people haven't heard about. I think that's one good thing. I mean, obviously, we all wanted to see some of these movies in theaters, but these other movies got a chance to shine when they probably wouldn't have before. So
Yeah, for sure. It just made every release. It's like, oh, that's a new thing we're actually gonna get. So
yeah,
let's consume it. Cool. All right, yeah, so why don't we start off? So, Alyssa, what's your number 10 film in 2020?
I'm gonna have to go with, and I know this is a divisive film. It's not for everyone, but I really love The Devil All the Time. It
Yeah,
really made an impact on me. I'm not going to forget it. The performances were amazing, especially Robert Pattinson. It's just, it's not a movie to watch if you are depressed or if you're squeamish or have trigger warnings that trigger you. Like, this is not a movie for everyone, but for me, I enjoy this kind of stuff. Don't know what that says about me as a person,
mhm.
but I thought it was excellent. I really loved it, and I love the director's previous film Christine as well. So this was one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm a fan of Devil all the time. I think the Robert Pattinson performance is absolutely like just kind of breathtaking. He really kind of went there with it,
Hmm.
and I really like the thematic pieces of the film too. I think there's a lot there that kind of doesn't, I don't know. The more I watched it a couple times, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, there's something really here that I like. Um, yeah, it's a solid film for sure.
Yeah, it is, and obviously, again, not gonna be for everyone. And I know a lot of people hated it because of what it shows, like animal cruelty, violence against children, women. Like, it's got pretty much everything you could imagine that would trigger you in it. So be
Hmm.
warned, but it is a
Yeah,
really good film if you can handle it.
yeah, great cast, amazing
Amazing
cast.
cast, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so my number 10. This is a film that kind of grew on me a lot. I watched it a number of times actually, and the more I watched it, the more I've kind of felt like I got it, and I really kind of understood what the director was going for. It's Gretel and Hansel.
I actually
But
really liked that one, and I
yeah.
know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was very artistic.
Oh yes. Okay. So the cinematography in this film is absolutely incredible.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Right? It is absolutely incredible. It's just so picturesque, and it gives you that fantasy fairy tale vibe.
It really
The other
does,
thing I
yeah.
really I really like too is they use this kind of synth wave score and
Hmm.
soundtrack, and just all of it together kind of gives you this very kind of otherworldly feel. I think if you go into the film expect, if you want to see Saw, right, or something like that, it's very gory, very brutal. This is
You're not
not,
gonna get it, no.
this is not. It's a PG-13 film. It's not gonna give you that level of horror. But if you're into something that's a little bit more fantastical, a little bit more sort of got these elements, fairy tale elements, I think the film is really it gives you something really interesting that I haven't seen in many horror films.
And I did like how they did tweak the story of, the traditional Hansel and Gretel story, and it's really Gretel's movie. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed that fact.
Yeah, it's Gretel's movie. And there's a lot, like, I was reading the director was kind of, he had this idea of like, he wanted to do more films like this, other fairy tales. And like the film starts off with this story about this girl who's sort of dying, and then her parents take her to this witch who keeps her alive, but then she gets these supernatural powers. And yeah, I forget where I was going with that. but anyways, yeah, but it's kind of like it's dealing with all these different kind of story elements, and trying to reframe the moral premise of the story in a different way. And yeah, he like the Huntsman is in this movie actually, like from Snow White and the Huntsman. We kind of see these like zombie-esque characters. And then there's the witch, but there's sort of implied that there's more other characters out there, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so I really, really liked this film. I thought it was beautiful, and the more I watched, the more I really, really appreciated the cinematography, which I think is just, there's so many frames that are just like it's like a painting.
It is. It really is. And I really like the fact that it is directed by Anthony Perkins' son, who, if you don't know, was Norman Bates in the original Psycho movie. So, little fun Easter egg.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Anthony Perkins, one of the great actors, unfortunately got kind of typecast after Psycho.
Yeah, definitely.
But he was a talent. He was a talented guy, and son. I mean, also I don't know if you've seen the movie. I forget, he did another horror film before this, The Black Coat's Daughter.
I haven't seen that one, but I did watch I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the Walls. Was that the name of it?
Yes.
I wasn't crazy about that one just because I don't think I fully grasped it, but I do want to watch Black Coat's Daughter.
Yeah, Black Coat's Daughter. I think I've seen parts of the film you just mentioned with the really long title. But Black Coat's Daughter, I think they're kind of similar, very slow burny.
Yeah.
But Black Coat's Daughter has some of the most some of the most stunning horror moments of any film I've seen in it. And if you kind of stick through it, you get to some like really powerful stuff. So I would definitely recommend that film too.
Okay. I'll definitely watch it soon.
Yeah. And again, that one also has a pretty good cast in it. Yeah, cool. So what's your number 9 film?
Okay, this one might come as a shock that it's at number 9, but it's because there were so many films that I loved this year. It was so hard. That's Soul, Disney Pixar Soul. This would have rated higher, but the ending just didn't gel with me that well. But overall, the movie, it made me cry. It's, typical Pixar. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you think about your life. I thought the story was just incredible about this jazz musician who just dies all of a sudden, and he kind of has to figure out his purpose in life, and he has to help this wayward spirit named 22 find out what they're supposed to do because they don't know what they're meant to do. And I just really love films that follow people like discovering their passions and who they really are. And I mean, it was funny. It had some, teary moments. It was happy. It's just, typical Pixar goodness. And I thought Jamie Foxx as the main character was really well cast.
I really liked this film a lot. It was really, to me, the thing that really kind of was so cool was like the way they depict the afterlife.
Yes, I love that.
It's so visually.
And all the different Terrys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really found the whole kind of the way that they all interacted in their afterlife, like those, basically the people who run the afterlife, and it's like childcare. I love too, like there was the kind of that one character who's really like, oh, I have to keep the count, and all of the like daycare people were like, she's way too obsessed with this thing, and they were like, she's like, the count is off. It's like, okay, why don't you go? I just love the way that they like talk to her. Okay, why don't you go and you fix that problem? Okay, like very, like non-confrontational way of saying, okay, get the F out of my face. I just love it.
You're too dedicated to your job.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the thematic premise of this movie is really powerful. For people because a lot of people, they get caught up in like, oh, you know, like people compare themselves to other people and they think like, does my life have meaning or purpose or all this? It's like,
which I'm guilty of all the time.
Yeah, and it's the film is telling you it's about the journey. It's not about comparing yourself to other people or doing whatever. It's like we all make some impact with someone in some way, and that's the thing you have to appreciate. Not think like, oh well, why am I not famous or why am I not rich? It's like it's not what life's about.
No, it's not. It's about just finding what makes you happy and what really guides you.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Also has a cat in it, so that's also a plus.
Yeah.
A movie with a cat, I'm gonna love it for that fact alone.
Yeah,
it's a very fat cat too. So
it is. I was just thinking like that's a big cat. Yeah. he was really well fed.
He was.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, so my number 9 film is little indie film Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
I love that movie. Love it.
So this is it's a very kind of so it's about these teenage girls. This girl, basically she gets pregnant, and so she lives in Pennsylvania, like a rural part of Pennsylvania. And so then her and her friend are like, they decide to go to New York for her to figure out what to do with the pregnancy.
Yeah, because in Pennsylvania, the law was you had to be 18 or older unless you had parental consent if you're younger, and she didn't want to tell anyone that she was pregnant. So so she like gets on this bus with her friend to New York or whatever, and it's New York City, and it's you know, again, it's a very real. The actors she got are so good because it feels almost documentary, you know, it's like very cinema verite, and it doesn't, and the actors, they are so believable in every moment, and it's so kind of raw, and you know, we're really seeing and experiencing these people's lives, and it just makes it so powerful, you know. And that title does come into play at a very emotional point, because the whole time I was like, why is it named this? And then when that hit, I'm like, oh my god, like that's why. It's really well done, and the director was Eliza Hittman. Looking forward to seeing what else she does in the future. Me too.
I just thought this was a brilliant kind of film. Just take a simple story, and to show, you know, what effect it has on the characters. So that's my number 9 film.
It's a good film.
Cool. Yeah. So what's your number 8?
My number 8 is a film called Proxima, and it stars Eva Green, and she is a female astronaut, and she's the only one assigned to go to the International Space Station for a year. But she's also a single mom, and she has to deal with leaving her daughter behind for a year, and she doesn't know if she can do it. She's in training with all these men, and it's just a really powerful story about how women have to deal with not only juggling a job, but being mothers and trying to do their best and dealing with sometimes, you know, can't think of the word, sexism in the workplace. There we go. It's wonderful. I love Eva Green always, and the film is in 4 different languages, which I thought was really cool. It's in English, French, German, and Russian. So it is an investment, but it's a really powerful film.
I've heard about this movie. I have not seen it yet. I love Eva Green too. I think she's there's something very, very, very special about her all the time. She can turn anything into an interesting performance in an interesting film. You know, she was, you know, I remember seeing her in like this weird 300 sequel, and she
I haven't
somehow
seen that one. I do want to. I love the first 300.
Yeah, the second one is not good, but she like gives an incredible performance in a film that should be really bad. She makes it interesting. And she's just, there's something very, very like, I don't know, powerful about her. It sounds interesting. It kind of reminds me, there's a Noah Hawley film about
Lucy in the Sky?
Yeah, Lucy in the Sky.
I haven't seen that one, but I want to, because it does sound interesting.
Yeah, I think that one kind of got a little bad reputation, but it does kind of get a little too big for its own bridges. Kind of get away from because it was supposed to be sort of based on a real person, but it totally
Yeah.
kind of.
I remember that story, the real story, but I don't remember much of it. I just remember parts of it. So
Yeah. Cool. So it's Proxima.
Proxima, yes.
Yeah,
And
I'll have to check that one out.
I really love this movie also because they used authentic spacesuits. They did authentic training missions. They were in actual training bases for astronauts, so it's very authentic as well. So really worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, I've another review I did with someone else for we did a review of First Man,
I love that
and
movie.
yeah, First Man's really good, and it just makes you realize like what these astronauts go through.
It's tough, yeah.
It's really tough, and it's like kind of mind-boggling. The type of human being, right?
You have to be, yeah, to do that.
Yeah, you're an absolute peak human being, and it's hard to get that way. Cool. All right. So my number 8 is The Devil All the Time. So yeah, I also really like this film. It was divisive. I did a review with my friend, and he didn't really like it. I think there's a lot going on in the film. It's there's a lot of threads, and
There are, yeah.
the threads can kind of confuse you, but like I feel, for me at least, I was able to kind of understand like why it was jumping the way it was in the narrative. I think that really helped. I really liked the performances. I mean, they like that scene when Tom Holland meets what's his name, like the preacher.
Robert Pattinson or the
Yeah,
first one?
Robert
Okay.
Pattinson. Yeah, when they like kind of have their showdown.
That was, yeah.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, that's a really powerful scene, and of course the scene when Robert Pattinson talks about the delusions, like that's delusion, like that is like one of the greatest lines of like
I love it.
2020.
Love it.
It's like it's so out there, but it's just like it kind of fits this world that they built.
Does.
It
And
totally
it was actually
fits.
partially filmed in Alabama where I live, so that was kind of cool too.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. In a small town called Athens, they filmed part of it.
Yeah, is that where they had that church?
I think they mostly filmed at a bar.
Okay.
So when you see the bar in the film, that's Athens, and they did some on the streets, but they didn't do too much, I don't believe. But
That's
yeah, I didn't
very
know
cool.
that, so I never got to see the actors on the streets or anything like that. But
yeah, that's interesting. It's always interesting when the film comes to your town.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is I think there were a lot of people who like felt certain ways about how it depicts religion. And
Yeah, it's not your typical like religious viewpoint at all.
yeah, and the thing for me is like this level of evangelicalism or evangelicism, it kind of exists in America.
Trust me, it does. It does.
Yeah. I think there's some people like, oh, that's over the top. It's like, well, on a certain level it is, but on a certain level that's kind of real.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of real, and I think a lot of people they just like kind of dismiss it. And whereas for me, it's like I kind of understand that it's real, and what it's trying to talk about is like what happens to people when they're in this type of environment.
It can make them do what happens in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's always these people, and also again, it's like the religion preying on people. And I really, really liked like how, to me, the whole film. So it starts with there's almost this kind of chance encounter at a diner, and because of that encounter, all of these other things happen to people down the line. You know, someone doesn't get married to someone else, which leads to her getting married to this preacher who then kills her, which leads to this person being orphaned. But then the son of this other person, they become like brother and sister.
Yeah.
And then she lives out the same type of thing that her mom did. Her mom got sucked in by this preacher, then she gets sucked in by this preacher.
History repeating itself over and over.
Yeah, and it's just like shows you how all these things because the towns are so small, you know, and so all these small little things totally change the outcome of someone's life. But they're all kind of stuck in this world. They can't get out. And at the end, the character's just trying to get out. He's trying to leave. It's like, I'm going to join the army.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very real feeling, too, in these small towns. I live in a small town. That's something a lot of people feel. So I don't know if you can get that feeling if you live in a bigger city, maybe. but it's a very suffocating feeling, and these people are feeling that. So to me, it was pretty authentic in that way. Obviously, all the stuff that happens is not going to happen in real life, or if it does, it's going to be a very extreme case. But it's so powerful, and I always say that nothing happy happens in this movie. So
Yeah.
You gotta be prepared. Just don't go in if you're in a bad headspace. Just be prepared for a messed up ride.
Yeah. How did you feel about the way that things sort of end? A character sort of like, he kind of gets out of some situations, and he's almost gets, I wouldn't say a happy ending, but he's able to escape.
Yeah, I was happy about that, about the ending. I thought he kind of deserved it because, I mean, he'd been through a lot of shit. He'd been through a lot of shit, so.
Yeah, it's an interesting film. It really stuck with me. It kind of reminded me, I was actually thinking about like the movie Cloud Atlas. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't, no.
Yeah. Cloud Atlas is sort of, it's like, it's like, imagine this, but like 3 hours long and even bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And with some sci-fi elements and this other stuff. But it's about how all these stories entwine. And Cloud Atlas is like a similar thing. That's kind of what I like, because like I could see the threads. I could see where he was going and how all these things are connected, at least for me, thematically. Yeah. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I really like this film. But yeah, like we were saying, it's divisive. It feels like a love it or hate it. I mean, there are people who are just like, oh, it sucks. And there are other people kind of like us who really kind of appreciated the film. So yeah, I mean, you know, made both of our lists. So.
And honestly, I haven't come across anyone that was just like, it was just okay. People they're like, I loved it, or I hated this with a passion.
Yeah. I mean, that there are just some films like that, right?
Yeah.
Because it either connects with you or it just doesn't sometimes. And I think this is one of those films where if it connects with you, you're going to really understand what they were trying to get. Cool. All right. So what was your number 7 film?
That would be Wolfwalkers, the latest film from Cartoon Saloon. I loved it. I do wish it was on more things besides just Apple TV Plus, because a lot of people don't have that. But it's such a beautiful story. I love the fact that it's set in, is it 1600s? Yeah, 1600s, Kilkenny, Ireland. And it's just centered on wolfwalkers who are kind of like werewolves, but it's just these two girls. They're different, and they become friends despite their differences. And it's really just about your family accepting you for who you are, your fellow peers accepting you. And it's just such a beautiful film. The visuals are gorgeous. You could frame every single scene and just hang it on your wall. Like, it's just so fantastic. And the voice acting's great. The music and soundtrack was wonderful. I just thought this movie was so beautiful. And I'm a huge fan of Cartoon Saloon, and they never disappoint.
Yeah, people have called them like the Irish Pixar,
or the Irish Studio Ghibli.
Studio Ghibli, yeah, because all of their frames are hand painted, which is like unbelievable.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable. I kind of got turned on to them because I watched like Song of the Sea, I believe is the name of it.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the first film, Secret of Kells, but my first introduction was Song of the Sea, and I was blown away. Yeah.
It blows you away. Like, there are just some frames where it's just it really like they really use the medium so well, because you can kind of approximate those things in other, like using film or using something else. But you look like in Song of the Sea and in this, there are some frames you look at that are just absolutely unbelievable. The way that they look and the way that they're like small details that sort of, you know, makes it look like you're looking at one of those really, really old books from like the period where they drew like the stories and stuff. I absolutely love their work, and I love this film too.
It's just very cute, and also it did make me cry because it hit hard. It hit hard.
Yeah. And you know that they're another kind of a company or whatever that kind of sort of in a way benefited from the pandemic, because like you can make an animated film, it's just all people working at home, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't disrupt their workflow at all, which is great. Because I'm really excited to, and one thing that's good about their association with Apple, it is unfortunate that it makes it harder for people to see, but it gives them an outlet to like always be able to make this stuff. And
that's true. Because before everything happened, none of their films ever came to any theaters near me. And I would always have to wait for the DVD or Blu-ray to come out to watch it. And it was just always frustrating. And since it does have an outlet now, albeit a fairly limited one audience-wise, it has the potential to grow, and people have more of a chance to see this film now because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always exciting. Especially because like they always focus on different culture too.
Yeah, I love that their films usually are centered on folklore and just fantasy and magical elements, and just transports you to a different world. But it's also kind of educational in a way, because you learn about Ireland and other. I think they're all set in Ireland. All their films are so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's just a really, really unique film and unique studio.
Yeah, totally. I love their stuff. Big fan of that movie. Cool. All right, so my number 7 is talk about love it or hate it. I'm thinking of Ending Things, the Charlie Kaufman film.
Okay, this is where we part ways.
Yeah, so this one was very controversial, and I think a lot of people had strong negative feelings about this film, which is understandable. I'm a big fan of Charlie Kaufman. I really
am too, which is why I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, I know. So for me, this film, like, I definitely, the first time I watched it, some things I didn't get, some things I misunderstood, and the more I kind of investigated it, the more I felt like I had a rich understanding of what he was actually trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at least for me, that made it make sense.
I will say, I did read the book, and I was kind of just like mad about the book.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, maybe Charlie Kaufman is going to spice the movie up a little bit more to make it more interesting than the book. It was worse.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, it's even more boring than the book.
Yeah, so the other thing too, like this is another thing, like, I kind of like, I'm kind of really kind of sort of, I'm trying to like make films and stuff, and so I could kind of understand, like, when you have a scene where it's two people talking in a car for like 20 minutes, you like, okay, that's a budgetary thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? That's like, you don't have enough money kind of thing. And like, oh, it's 4 people in a house. Like, that's kind of so the budget on this was not huge. And that kind of pared down what the biggest thing possible for this story could have been. But I do think that the acting in this was really good. I mean,
I do have to give it that. The acting was good. I'm not a fan of the story. So
yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. It's hard for me to not say, yeah, people should dive into that Charlie Kaufman kind of story. Because even this, which is kind of probably not his best film, to me, there's a lot there that's worth dissecting and worth just kind of pondering and thinking about. Like that ending, like the scene before the ending is like absolutely kind of Mad Lib stuff that he did, where he's like singing, he's like doing this musical number, and then they're doing this sort of riff off of A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, just crazy. And like, because at first you're just gonna be like, what is going on? But then later you can kind of piece it together why that happened. But yeah, what was it? Jesse Buckley,
Jesse Plemons, Toni Collette, and David Thewlis.
Yeah, incredible acting. Yeah, so that's very.
I will also say it was very visually beautiful. Like it was gorgeous to look at. It just, the story didn't gel with me, and the book didn't gel with me. So
yeah,
just keep that in mind when I say I didn't like it. I didn't like the book either. So
yeah. That was the guy's first book, right? First published book.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of book movie discussion. People discussing both and how they felt, which one was better or worse or whatever. So cool. So that's my number 7. I'm thinking of Ending Things. So what's your number 6?
Okay, my number 6 is The Trial of the Chicago 7. I actually didn't watch this when it first came out. I don't know why, because I typically like Aaron Sorkin's scripts, and I loved his first directorial his debut, Molly's Game. But I don't know why. I thought maybe because this is primarily set in a courtroom, I wouldn't like it, but I loved it. Especially, surprisingly, Sacha Baron Cohen is fantastic in this. Everyone is, but he just really stole the show for me as Abby Hoffman. But this is based off the true story of the Chicago Seven, who were attempting to hold a peaceful protest. I forget the year in Chicago.
68, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say 68, but I was like, if I say it wrong and there are history buffs out there, I'll get massacred.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get mad at me, not you. I'm the one who said it, not you.
But they're trying to hold a peaceful protest to, they weren't a fan of the idea of going to war, and then it turned into a violent riot. And it's them in court going through what happened, and there are just a bunch of different historical figures, including, the head of the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton, and other people. It's just, for being primarily in a courtroom, it was so enthralling. Aaron Sorkin's dialogue is just captivating. The performances are great. I really, really loved it.
Yeah, I like this film too. Sorkin's a great writer, and the other fun thing, this was a fun thing that happened because, again, we were in the pandemic and people had all this time. People started digging up the Sorkinisms. I'm not sure if you're basically he recycled, like he is a true believer in ripping off yourself is style. I mean, literally characters will say the same story over and over again. There's these same kind of like weird jokes, says it over and over and over again. So that was fun seeing like people like, hey, didn't he do this in this movie? And it's like, oh yeah, that's what he does. welcome to the Sorkin Club.
The Sorkin verse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the other thing, it's he does a really great job, I think, with this material, and it's really funny and kind of fun, but it's a serious kind of thing if you think about like their protests now, where basically kind of the same kind of idea, like they set
it came out precedent at the same time, I believe, as the stuff that was happening last year with Black Lives Matter and all that. It came out. I don't think they did it on purpose.
They got lucky.
It just coincided, so it was just the right timing, but it was powerful. Especially at the end, I did cry, especially when I was reading about every individual person that was a part of it. I don't want to spoil anything, but the Abby Hoffman part, oh no. Yeah,
it's a lot, and it just shows you like how some of the justice system can work, even to this day, where it's just this whole thing was a sham from the jump. It was an absolute sham what they did, the stuff that they did, and it's like, how does this happen in America? This is a joke. It's a joke where it's like a show trial. But those legal precedents build us to the point where we are now, where people have the right to assemble and not be saying, "Oh, you guys decided to riot." No, we wanted to do our legal First Amendment right, and then some people came and they beat the crap out of us.
Yeah.
So it's a solid film. I definitely would recommend it too. Cool. All right, so my number 6 is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I did watch this movie. I was about it.
Yeah. It's certainly, like, I liked it. Like a lot of the time, so we'll talk about some other adaptations of stage plays as well on my list. Sometimes they can kind of work and they can kind of not work.
Yeah.
The acting has to be really strong, and
which it was in this film.
Yeah, the acting is really strong. I forget who were obviously Chadwick's probably going to win an Oscar for his performance in this.
He was so good, and Viola Davis as well.
Yeah, Viola Davis is really good in this. I'm sure she'll get nominated, but I mean,
really Chadwick, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's really, like, they're both really, really good. The performances to me are strong enough where, it's basically just people kind of talking, and it's not going to be as visually stimulating as some other films. Yeah. But the performances are like phenomenal. They're phenomenal. And you know, like this is going to be one of the things probably that Chadwick's going to be known for as the last sort of performances that he's done.
Yeah.
And so in that way, it's sort of going to be immortalized. But yeah, it really kind of, it worked for me. It worked enough for me for this film. Plus, it has sort of, again, it has that sort of special place now because of his passing away. So yeah. Yeah. So you weren't totally in love with it?
Not really. I think it was just the fact that it's so structured like a play that it just felt a little, I wouldn't say disjointed to me, but the previous August Wilson play that was adapted, Fences, I loved Fences, and this felt so different, and maybe I had that in my mind that this was different. I would definitely watch it again to see if my thoughts change. But I loved the performances. I loved the atmosphere, the costume design. It was just the structure that really kind of was to me. That's really the only thing.
Yeah, and that was the Denzel Fences.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting because like you know, that film they'd done that play many times, and then he directed it in the film version. So maybe the familiarity was able to like make it transition and translate.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely going to be a film that's going to be remembered for a long time because of Chadwick and it's being one of his last performances, and probably going to win an Oscar for him. So that's my number 6. What's your number 5 film?
My number 5 is Sound of Metal. It was so good, and Riz Ahmed, I think, will probably be nominated for an Oscar. This is the story of a man that is a drummer in a heavy metal band, and he starts to lose his hearing, and he can't drum anymore because obviously you need to be able to hear to play the drums, and when he's going deaf, he can't hear, and he kind of just, it's kind of like Soul, where he starts to drift. He doesn't know who he is anymore after he can't play. And I just thought Reese was so good in this movie.
Yeah. Who's the other actor who like plays his like, I guess, like kind of counselor or whatever? It's I think it's Matthew Almeric. Is that his name?
I don't know. It's been
No, that's not it.
I remember Reese and Olivia Cook being in it.
So Paul Raci? I think that's his name. It's Paul Raci. I don't know how to say his last name. Paul Ricci, something like that. But yeah, he's incredible. Like playing this guy that he meets, who's running this organization of people who are deaf. He should really get nominated too because he is so amazing in this film. And their relationship in this film is so interesting and powerful. And kind of really kind of sad.
It is, yeah.
It's really kind of sad, actually, in the end. It's a powerful film, and yeah, Riz Ahmed is so good in this movie.
And I have a little bit of a connection because my dad, he's not a professional drummer, but he's a drummer. So I've grown up around, drummers and drum sets all my life. So to see someone that's drumming not be able to do that anymore really hit harder for me than I think it would for more people.
Yeah.
But it was just such a great story, and the performances just were knockouts.
Yeah. I think, what's so, like, I've seen so many people, like, that I just, like, kind of, I know because I, like, we both like films or whatever, review this movie and saying, like, oh, yeah, I've had hearing loss, and this film is so accurate to my experiences. And just like, it's just a totally new world that's sort of opened up of people's experiences in this movie, that it's just like a story that's not really told, Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I loved about this movie was the sound effects or lack of, because you can hear when he's losing his hearing and it's muffled, you're not hearing a lot. And I think that was just an extra layer that really benefited the movie because you feel like you're going along with him on the journey.
Totally. Yeah. I really like this film. I thought it was excellent. Cool. All right, so my number 5 film is Hamilton.
I haven't seen Hamilton and I want to so bad.
Yeah,
But
Hamilton's great.
That runtime is what is like
It's brutal.
It's long.
It's like 2:45 or something.
It's close to 3 hours. I just know that. I'm like,
Yeah. I did not win the Hamilton lottery, and I also don't live in New York, so I've never seen like the first run of Hamilton or even gotten really close to it. And I'm also not really a theater person, so there was like a lot of distance between me and this story.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's kind of cool is like this is like a way for people to really experience Hamilton who haven't. And man, it's really good. It's really good. It's really fun. There's a lot of songs I really liked. There's definitely some songs that I get stuck in my head and I'll listen to like on a freaking loop. You'll Be Back. Love that song. That song just destroys me. And it's an interesting way of retelling the story of America from like the way they insert different people to like give us this different kind of point of view is really powerful.
And it also makes history a little more accessible because people are hearing it in these songs, and a lot of the songs incorporate rap elements and hip hop elements. So it's easier for people to digest history lessons that way.
Yeah, the rap battle, like the debate rap battles are just like, it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just so brilliant. It's just such a brilliant way of like taking a real thing and then translating it into a cultural like thing of our time to give people, oh yeah, so this is like it was like a rap battle. That's what it was. Yeah, I love that. I would definitely say anyone, if you it's you could probably watch like sort of half and half because there are sort of breaks.
Yeah, I'd probably do that because I love musicals, and just that length is what has been holding me off because I want to see it so bad. But when I get to that length, I'm like, I can't make myself. I can't make myself. But I need to watch it. I need to watch it.
It's good. It's good. It's good. I really, really liked it. And, this is just one of the best ways to be able to experience it and consume it. So I'm really glad that they were able to do this. Put it out there for us on Disney Plus, the Evil Empire.
The Evil Empire.
Yeah, it's taking everything. We have Hamilton, we have Disney, we have cartoons, we have the Avengers. We are inevitable. Cool. All right, so what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is probably one that most people wouldn't even put on their top 10 list, but it's my list. So it's called Summerland, and it has Gemma Arterton in it, and it's just so charming. It's so British, and it's a really just lovely romance, and I love it. I don't remember the year it's set in. It's older times, but not too old. You follow Gemma Arterton's character, and she's a very cold person when she starts out, and she is told that she needs to have this kid live in her home for this period of time while his parents are in London, I believe. He's a refugee. So she houses him, and he's trying to be friends with her. She's very cold, and she's just, not a great parental guidance figure. But then he starts to learn more about why she's this way, and it's heartbreaking, but it's beautiful, and I loved it. I love the cast. Gemma Arterton is another one of my go-to actresses. I just love her in pretty much everything. And yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of just, cozy British movies that are going to make you feel something, Summerland is right up your alley.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this film earlier last year, and I haven't got a chance to see it yet, but you were like, oh yeah, Summerland, it's amazing, you should watch it. It's like, what? I've heard of this. Yeah, it's like great. Gemma, she's a really fun actor. I feel like she kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. Because she was kind of like, I think she was in Quantum of Solace.
She was Strawberry Fields in Quantum of Solace.
Mm-hmm. And then they did that Prince of Persia movie, and then they kind of...
Yeah, but she's been in The Voices, she was great. Yeah. I've seen her in so many things now that I'm kind of blanking, but there's a movie called Gemma Bovary that she was in that I thought she was great in. So yeah, this is just another one that she's just so charming in.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, another one I'll have to try and check out. Very cool. So my number 4 is Nomad Land, the Chloe Zhao film.
I want to see that so bad. I know it's coming to
Yeah.
Hulu soon, so definitely I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it through, I think it was like New York Film Festival. Like basically they did this thing where you could just kind of buy
Yeah.
a ticket or whatever, or like so it was basically video on demand. Yeah, and I got a chance to see it, and it's very good. It's very powerful, and the performance, Frances McDermott is like incredible in this movie. And the way that Chloe kind of shoots, it's very kind of cinema verite. It feels very real. It feels not like a movie. It feels like a floating camera is documenting human beings as they exist in the world. And there's something about Chloe Zhao. She's just like so brilliant at photographing landscapes. Another film she did, The Writer, a lot of it is just like, and it's like not, because like a lot of this film, Nomad Land, it takes place, I think, in like the Dakotas and like some of these other, like Arizona and I think maybe like the sort of Utah, Arizona, Nevada, like that kind of area. And it's just like, you see like these canyons and you see like these open spaces. It's just so beautiful. It's so remarkably gorgeous. And the film has a very meditative quality, almost like a Terrence Malick kind of feeling, where it's just like you're kind of floating with this. Like there's one shot of Frances McDermott where she's just literally like kind of floating in some water somewhere. But it's also kind of somber and sort of melancholic, because it's like these people who live on the fringes of society, but they're happy, but they're kind of, they're kind of pushed out by civilization. It's like they don't really have a place because, she doesn't have a home. She lives in her car.
She's a nomad.
And then, exactly. Yeah. And I really appreciated what she's trying to do. She is a very talented director. I mean, these are films where it's just like, just characters and landscape, and it's just cinematic. It's pretty incredible.
I haven't seen any of her films yet, and I really want to, because I've heard she's phenomenal, and she is directing the upcoming Marvel movie, The Eternals, which I'm kind of like, she's going from The Writer and Nomad Land to Eternals. How is that going to turn out? But I've heard so many great things about Nomad Land that I'm dying to see it, and I cannot wait until it's on Hulu so I can.
Yeah, for sure. I think she has a very, very strong talent. I feel like you give her. I cannot wait to see whatever the landscape shots are going to be in Eternals, because I know they're going to look amazing. That I know. But yeah, I would definitely say I did like The Writer more than Nomad Land. Like The Writer is really, really. The Writer's like about. It's like a cowboy who gets injured and he kind of has this crisis of meaning of like because he's like, dude, they're like, dude, you can't really do that anymore. And so he doesn't know what to do with himself. And it juxtaposed again with these like kind of beautiful landscapes and all this stuff and the very kind of intimate small character portraits. That's kind of like her thing. So yeah, I would definitely say check out The Writer. And then Nomad Land will probably be out soon. So
I think it's February 12th on Hulu, I think.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Cool. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Weathering with You, the latest film from Makoto Shinkai. I am a huge fan of his. I love his movies, and this is an anime film. I did watch it with the English dub because it's on HBO Max right now, and that's just the automatic way to watch it. But it's such a magical, beautiful film. It's got some really great voice actors. It's got Riz Ahmed in it, Lee Pace, Alison Brie. But it's the story of a young man, and he comes across a sunshine girl, and she's able to control whether it's raining or not. And it's just their relationship and how they start to feel towards each other. But it also ties into how is Japan going to survive this really rainy season. I don't really want to spoil the story because it's just so it's beautiful in only a way that Shinkai can make a film, but it's just so good. So good.
Interesting.
Great soundtrack too, by the way.
Yeah. Cool. anime is just like one of those things I haven't gotten into yet.
Hmm.
Like I maybe it'll happen at some point. Probably will.
Right now, HBO Max is your best bet if you want to get into anime because
Okay.
they have every single Studio Ghibli movie. They have Makoto
Yeah.
Shinkai. They have some Masaaki Yuasa films on there right now. There is a great place to get into anime right now.
Very cool. Yeah, I know that I'll whenever the Snyder, the Justice League Snyder cut comes out,
Oh yeah.
I'll probably be jumping on. HBO Max, from what I've seen, has an incredible amount of content that's very good.
Oh, I love HBO Max. It's one
Yeah,
of my favorites.
they have, like you said, they have all the Studio Ghibli films. They also have a lot of Criterion,
They
too.
do. That's where I've watched several films, including Eyes Without a Face. That's where I got to watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely worth the money. And plus, like they're having Wonder Woman 1984, all these Warner Brother movies coming out on it. So it's definitely a good bargain right now.
And you also get all the HBO shows.
Yes, all their own shows and all these other movies they have the license to stream right now. So it's really good. But yeah, Weathering with You is on HBO Max.
Cool.
And you can watch it just with Japanese with English subtitles. It just automatically plays with an English dub if you're in North America. Which I think it's only available here, so that's just the automatic way it plays.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So when I jump in for Snyder
you
Cut,
won't be thrown into subtitles or anything, unless you choose to.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. So my number 3 film is The Five Bloods, Spike Lee movie.
That's another one that I meant to watch. I just never got around to it.
It's long. It's a little long.
Yeah.
For sure. I like this movie. I really like this movie a lot. I think some people were kind of like lukewarm on it, but I really liked it. It really kind of worked for me a lot. The relationship of the characters really worked for me. And again, Chadwick Boseman's in it. It's like crazy, like that he was in this movie as a person who died, who comes back almost like as a spirit. It's like,
oh wow,
what? Yeah, I mean, it's like it's almost unbelievable that this happened in real life. Like if you wrote this down in a story, people would be like, okay, but did that really have to happen? Like, come on, one of his last movies was a Spike Lee movie. Okay, sure. No, that really happened. That's actually what happened. And Delroy Lindo gives an unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like his performance in this film. He's like amazing, and it's I think Jonathan Majors is in this movie too.
Yeah.
Like he's another guy who's like blown up like within like 3 years. I never heard of him to he's gonna be in everything. But he's an amazing actor. And I really like him in this film too. Very cool. Yeah, it's just a really it's an interesting kind of, because it's like Spike sort of called it like a sort of Treasure of the Sierra Madre kind of thing. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot I like about this film, and it really kind of worked for me. And there's something about like Spike Lee and Terrence Blanchard, it just always kind of gets me in a sweet spot. Like the two of them, it's like seeing a Spielberg John Williams movie, you know. It's just there's something different that always just works there. So yeah, that's my number 3 is The Five Bloods.
I'm looking forward to checking that one out too.
Yeah, cool. All right, we're almost done with our list. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Another Round. This is the latest film from Thomas Vinterberg, which I loved his previous film, The Hunt. This also stars Mads Mikkelsen, who, again, is one of my favorite actors currently working right now. And it is in Danish, so you do have to read subtitles with it. But it is centered around these 4 middle-aged men. They're all teachers, and they're kind of all bored with their lives. And they decide, after reading this study, that they're going to try to maintain a low level of intoxication every single day besides the weekend. So they're drinking when they're working, when they're at home. And at first, everything's like super happy, and people are just like, they're just all cheerful, and people are like, wow, your mood's really improved. You're really doing well. And then obviously, as it goes on, darker things start to pop up and the negative effects of drinking are addressed. But one of my favorite scenes from recent years of cinematic history is in this film, and it's Mads Mikkelsen dancing.
Yeah.
If you just look it up on YouTube and then watch the movie, because oh my gosh, that scene is so amazing. I still watch it after I've watched the movie. It's just so good. But yeah, this is another film that really hit me hard when I was watching it, and it's relatable if you have ever known anyone who's had a drinking problem. Um, and it's also just a great film and great performances, especially from Mads. He's wonderful. So I loved it.
It's quite an emotional film. It's quite an emotional journey. I remember there's some scenes like they're having a dinner at the beginning, like all the friends. And it's just very somber. But yeah, like you said, then at the end, there's just kind of this moment where he's dancing and it's just like so jubilant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that kind of went viral. Like there were tons of memes of that, of Mads Mikkelsen just dancing.
I know, I'm like, what the hell? He can dance?
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. And I think it just like kind of spoke to people on a level where they're like, that's how they feel in this whole moment. It's just like, I just feel like I just want to go outside and dance. I just want to be done with this whole thing.
Yeah, don't want to think anymore. I just want to feel good.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that kind of spoke to people on that level. Yeah, it's a cool film. Cool. All right. So my number 2 is Soul, the Pixar movie.
Yeah.
As we talked about before. Yeah, I really like this film. I thought it worked a lot for me. It was really funny. It really had a really strong kind of thematic message. The performances were good. Like I said, the afterlife, the way they animated it is just so brilliant and very kind of
not scary.
Yes.
Because so many people fear death.
Yes.
And this just shows you it's not something really to be afraid of. It can be a beautiful thing if you really think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It really kind of was pushing what they could do to different. I mean, there's like shots of the universe in the movie. I really like, it's like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I'm in a Pixar movie looking at the universe, like, wow. It's just, I really, really like what they did. And it's great that we were able to actually get the film.
Oh yeah, it was delayed like 2 or 3 times.
I mean, it's supposed to come out in like,
I think it was March or April of last year.
Yeah, April or something. Exactly. And I'm really glad that Disney was able to release it for people to watch. Because it's a really great film. It's a really great film. And it's really cool that these are the type of stories they're trying to tell now at Pixar, like having basically a black lead.
The first black lead in a Pixar movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really cool, and I really appreciated that. And also like the way they depict New York City and all the jazz elements and like the way, like that one scene where he's like in the zone or whatever, like it's all very cool. It's all really, really cool stuff. And like that's hard to like create a cinematic articulation of, and they figured it out. They thought it through and they figured it out. It was really cool. So yeah, so that's my number 2. Okay, we're there. Number 1. All right, Alyssa, so what's your number 1 movie of 2020?
It's a film we've actually already discussed, and that is Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. This one was it just felt so realistic to me, and it's not going to be for everyone because I have already, seen complaints from people that they think it is very pro-choice, okay? I don't think it's glorifying, going and getting an abortion or anything like that. It's showing the reality of it. But, I mean, I could see where people that are pro-life wouldn't like this film. But for me, I just seeing this teenage girl having to go through so much and trying to, get the procedure and how she has to struggle to do it was heartbreaking, but it was fascinating to watch. And since the actresses aren't really well known, it hit harder and closer to home. And I really liked Eliza Hittman's directorial style. I need to watch her previous film, wasn't it Beach Rats?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, I definitely want to watch it now that
I'm curious
watched,
too.
This one. But it really hit me hard.
Yeah. There's just so many scenes that are just like, it just like hits you in a subtle way. I think there was a scene, I think they're in New York, right? Where they kind of go out and
Yeah, they go to New York.
And she's doing karaoke.
Yeah,
and sort of
scene.
this moment of levity. It's this, that's when you got something, when it's like something small like that makes you feel something, makes you think it or makes you recall something of your youth or a time or someone you knew. The film was really, really brilliant.
It's a very small indie film, but it packs a powerful punch.
Yeah, it really does well for what it's trying to do. And yeah, like you said, like having these actors that we don't know, it makes it so more powerful. But they give great performances.
They do.
Like the two girls, basically, who go off on this sort of journey. Yeah. All right. So my number one film of the year is Wolfwalkers.
Okay.
So Wolfwalkers is my number one for me.
Yeah.
So like we talked about, I really like what they were able to do visually, like when like the wolf vision stuff.
Oh, that's so cool and so cool.
Yeah, like there's just so many things I really love them, like the Cartoon Saloon, the stuff they do. And I had really been anticipating this film, and I was not let down at all about it. I was just like so happy and excited. I was like, I'm so glad that we're able to get these types of films from this type of company, because it's so different from, again, like Pixar and these other companies that do, or even like the computer animation.
Yeah.
The way that it looks is just so distinct.
There's something about, hand-drawn films that just are way more powerful than any CGI film could ever be.
Yeah, because every frame looks like a painting. Every frame just looks like something that you'd be working years on. But that's just one small piece of this film, and it's unbelievable.
You could tell how much the artist, how much love they put into it, how much time, and it just feels like there's a lot of love in these movies, and especially in Wolfwalkers, it just feels like there's so much love in it. They really love the project, and you can feel that.
Yeah, absolutely, you can. It just, it makes me excited for whatever's coming next to theirs.
Me too.
Yeah, and I just love their, I love, again, like you said, like they're giving us these stories about the folklore of the Irish folklore and these Irish stories about their history, because that's something that's sort of not really, I mean, there's only a couple films that I can think of that really go there.
Mm-hmm.
And creating an animation is like an easier way for people to consume this type of stuff, because like, the big picture story is like, oh, hey, I'm like a werewolf and I can transform and all this cute stuff, and this like, these two girls having an adventure, and like the other story is like what was happening in Ireland at the time when they were being occupied by the English, and what that did to people. So I really found that interesting to get that history and that perspective through this kind of story. Cool. Okay, so yeah, that was our list. That was our top 10 list of films. So any last words, anything you want to plug or say to the people out there?
I hope you enjoyed, and I would love to know what your favorite movies of last year were. So, comment or contact me through one of the links down below. And yeah, I'd love to chat with you about it. And I loved hearing what your favorite films were and, discussing back and forth. It was just a lot of fun.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Hit up Alyssa. Like, she's got some really great stuff. Like her, which one is the one where you do all your reviews on?
It's Alley Cat Geekery Reviews on Instagram.
Yeah, that one's really, really good. You cover a lot of different stuff and talk about it, and it's really cool. It's a good follow. So I would definitely recommend it.
I have fun with it.
Yeah. And you're also on Letterboxd as well, right?
I am. I love Letterboxd. That's where I log every single movie I watch. I don't always put those on my Instagram because sometimes the actors or the directors or the producers notice the posts. So if I don't feel positively about a movie, I don't usually post it on there just in case they were to find it.
You don't want to flame somebody?
Yeah, so you'll find that on Letterboxd.
Yeah, cool. I'll have to update the thing and put your letter, or both of our, because we're both on there actually. We follow each other.
Yeah, and I follow anyone who follows me. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, come follow us. You'll see some good reviews out there. All right, cool. So yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll be doing another review of our top 5 TV shows, and you'll be seeing that in a little bit. All right, cool. Take care.
Bye.